Good evening, everyone. I am Mayor Beverly H. Burks, and this is the April Council meeting. At this time, we'll do roll call starting with Vice Mayor Johnson.
Present.
Councilwoman Bell.
Present.
Councilman Perkins.
Present.
Councilman Moore.
Present.
Councilwoman Adi.
Present.
And Councilwoman Bayonne.
Present.
And I will recognize our city manager, Shaquia Miller Thornton.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
At this time, are there any changes to the agenda?
Yes, ma'am. I have a change, Madam Mayor.
Yes, Vice Mayor.
I move to add to consent under new business 8A.
Just add to consent, not new business.
Right.
Okay,
But they're
from new
listed.
business. Okay.
Okay. Listed under new business A to consider the appointment of Sidney Jake to the Downtown Development Authority for the term that expires December 31st, 2026. And D, to consider a resolution to adopt the City of Clarkston Classification and Compensation Plan, along with two items that were discussed last week. The first one is the ordinance to create a criminal nuisance property program, and the ordinance to set up a program for special service district and tax.
Okay. Is there a second?
To defer.
To defer.
To
To
defer.
defer them,
To the April.
right. Adding them to the consent agenda for deferment for the April 28th work session.
Okay. And I'm going to read them all. Okay. All right. I need a second.
Second.
Okay, it has been properly moved and seconded that we move to consent agenda item A, which is under new business, to consider the appointment of Sidney Jakes to the Downtown Development Authority for a term that expires on December 31st, 2026, and D, to consider a resolution to adopt the City of Clarkston's Classification and Compensation Plan. Additionally, at the work session, we had these two items, and we want to make sure that they're included in the consent agenda, and that was to defer until the April 28th, 2026 work session of Mayor and Council, the discussion of an ordinance to create a criminal nuisance property program that would identify criminal nuisance properties based on criminal statistics and then require them to make improvements, changes to their property or the way it is managed to reduce crime, and to defer until the April 28th, 2026 work session of Mayor and Council, the discussion of an ordinance to set up a program for special service districts to a tax designated area and then use the revenue to make improvements or provide extra services within the area that are intended to reduce crime. So with that, is there any further discussion? Are you ready for the question? All in favor of the changes to have under consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passed. Now, we will move on to presentations and administrative business. I will turn to city manager for those items.
Yes, ma'am. I will defer to Dr. Dwight Baker, Director of Human Resources and Risk Management for Employee of the Month, March 2026.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm here to present the Employee of the Month for March 2026. This employee exemplifies professionalism, integrity, and a strong commitment to public service in his role as Code Compliance Officer. He communicates clearly and respectfully with residents, ensuring understanding of compliance requirements while building positive relationships within the community. This employee goes above and beyond to address compliance and sensitive code enforcement issues, including assisting residents in hazardous living conditions and working with property management to restore essential services. His ability to see cases through to resolution, including court proceedings when necessary, demonstrates reliability, accountability, and a dedication to improving the quality of life for Clarkston residents. This employee is also a collaborative team player who maintains a positive and professional attitude, reflecting the city's mission, vision, and values through a fair and compassionate approach. His commitment to service, sound judgment, and community engagements has earned him the appreciation of citizens and colleagues alike. Please join me in congratulating the Employee of the Month for March 2026, Mr. Darian Hammonds, Code Compliance Officer, Planning and Economic Development Department. There you go. And he also gets a $50 gift card.
He's like, okay. And we'll take a photo after that.
Yes, ma'am. For item B, I will defer to Economic Development Coordinator Jacob Bowie for Business of the Month, March 2026.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and City Manager. Today, we're proud to recognize Brockett Pub House and Grill, which is located at 4522 East Ponce de Leon Avenue here in Clarkston, as Clarkston's March 2026 Business of the Month. Owned by Christina and John Gagne, Brockett Pub has been serving the community since 2006 and has become a welcoming gathering space that reflects the diversity and spirit of Clarkston. Over the years, they have built a strong business by creating an inviting space, supporting and mentoring their staff, and staying closely connected to the community that they serve. Even through challenges such as COVID, economic hardships, and even a fire, Brockett Pub has remained strong with support of the Clarkston community. We thank Ms. Christina and Mr. John for their continued investment in Clarkston and for their positive impact they've made on our city. Mr. John and Ms. Gagne, or Ms. Christina couldn't be here tonight, but we'll deliver their award later this week. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So the minutes, we'll go ahead and do the minutes, and after that, we'll go down for the photo. I'm looking for a motion for item C, which is to approve the following minute meetings.
I move to.
You want? Okay, go for
I
it.
move to approve the minutes from the past meetings.
So
Let me identify each one.
1 through 3, 1 through 4.
1 through 4, February 24th, 2026, March 3rd, 2026, March 5th, 2026, and March 31st, 2026.
Okay, it has been properly moved and seconded to approve the following meeting minutes. Number 1, February 24, 2026, City Council Work Session. Number 2, March 3rd, 2026, City Council Meeting. Number 3, March 5th, 2026, Special Call City Council Meeting. And number 4, March 31st, 2026, City Council Work Session. Is there any further discussion? Are you ready for the question? All in favor to approve the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passed. And so we'll stop for a moment because we have to take the photo with the Employee of the Month who does the most, Ticketmaster, as we like to say. No, but he's a good guy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
questions about starting city.
Oh, I don't feel so bad today. I don't know what you feel so bad.
Actually, I gotta be in front for once.
I'm gonna get on the end. I'm gonna sip on my.
All right, okay, couple shots, 1, 2, 3. One, two, three. Thank you.
Thank you for answering those questions for us.
No, something going on with the door.
I'll do that. You know I shouldn't. Thank you. And so, again, congratulations on your recognition. We'll move on to reports, starting with the city manager's report. City manager.
I have provided to Mayor and Council a copy of the city manager's report for March 2026. And I won't read through all of it. The two contracts that I executed on the city's behalf, one was actually employment terms for the interim chief of police in the amount of $10,425 per month. The service period was March 2nd through April 9th. Total value of services to include employer taxes is $13,552.50. March 12th, I entered into a consulting services agreement between the Georgia Municipal Association and the city for facilitation of the 2026 Spring Council and Staff Retreat in the amount of $1,000. There are a list of project initiatives to include all of the city's current plans and projects, of which I serve on the project management team for each of those plans and initiatives, in collaboration with the Planning and Development Director, Public Works Director, Special Projects Manager, and the City Engineer. We have conducted RFP discussions for the Facilities Master Plan, and we had 2 finalists that we interviewed in that process, and we are working towards presentation of contract terms for that initiative. I have just a list of meetings that I have attended. A lot of those include meetings with DeKalb offices, a protocol and safety meeting with the city manager and staff surrounding employee and visitor safety for this space in the event of an emergency. I've met with the city's financial advisors regarding topics for presentation for the retreat, and also some discussion on the Senate bills that has now passed regarding property taxation. And then there are a host of other meetings that I have attended, to also include a meeting with the DeKalb Tax Commissioner's Office. It was a digesting billing discussion. We also discussed during that time the city's concern with the percent of collection rate, and so we are scheduling a meeting with the tax commissioner's office to determine what might be the issue in that regard. Legal considerations, I've already mentioned the Senate bill that passed. It ended up being Senate Bill 33, and I provided just a synopsis of the key components of that bill as presented to us by the Georgia Municipal Association. The city is currently the administration is currently doing an analysis of the language of that particular bill, and we'll provide that to the mayor and council as it is completed. Events that are coming up are the food giveaway on April 17th and Earth Day on April 22nd. Each of the departments have presented. I'll highlight the ones from the administration office that are under the purview of the city manager. During the month of March, the city clerk's office has administered 46 applications that have been issued, including business, coin-operated amusement machines, hookah, and alcohol, with another 61 applications currently being processed. The city clerk's office has also met with the planning director and finance department to determine a best strategy for expediting the process for occupational tax licenses. Currently the finance office is working to complete audit work papers and trial balance submittal for the city's 2024 fiscal year audit. Our trial balance adjustments were presented to the auditor today. And we anticipate that after completion of the management discussion and analysis by the city manager's office, the report will be presented to council during the April work session for council review. City's finance department, finance support, and the manager's office, we're also working to reconcile and to review the 2025 financials for the city, also while working to maintain day-to-day monitoring and budgeting, management of the budget for the 2026 year. In conjunction with the Human Resources and Finance Department offices, my office is also working to do an analysis of the city's 2026-27 GARMA liability coverage. That's the coverage for our property and liability. At preliminary review of the proposal, it seems to be the proposed cost is about $40,000 in excess of what was budgeted for this year. So we're working to do an analysis to see what might be the change. SPLOS 1 and 2 reconciliation reports have been completed and are under review in my office. Official public announcement of the fund expenditures is required to be published by June 30th, and that report will also be presented to the mayor and council in advance of public publishing. American Rescue Plan Act Fund is currently being reconciled by the finance team. The federal treasury requires that the report of the fund's activities and expenditures be completed by April 30th, and we are working toward having the report filed within that time. All the funds are to be expended by December 30th of 2026, and the report will be presented to mayor and council, and also will be available for public review in advance of the deadline. I also completed registration of the city's Georgia Emergency Management Grant Application and Award Profile. And the city is currently engaged in application of several grants to include, but not be limited to, development grants, technology grants, the community development block grant, and economic mobility grants. For human resources, we have successfully review in conjunction with Dr. Baker, have executed full interview panel process for 5 candidates. We narrowed that down to 2 candidates and have been working through terms. So we expect to have presentation of the final candidate to mayor and council within the coming week or 2. Let's see. Dr. Baker's office is also working to interview HR software related vendors. We do have some limitations with the current provider, and so with some of the desires that council presented as far as being able to provide data and analytics. We want to look at a new platform so that we can start to provide that kind of information. The court office, in March, in March, 149 cases were pending in code enforcement court. Total defendants 12. 3 defendants failed to appear, and there was a 75% appearance rate. For bench trials, there was a total case count of 60, and the total defendant count was 37. Plea and arraignment, that calendar was March 9th. Total case count was 45, and the total defendant count was 28. Parks and Rec, we had the Parks and Rec master plan visioning phase workshop on March 24th. That's where Perez Planning and Design LLC Director Michael Duncan and members of the staff and ELT team came together to do a visioning phase for the project. Some of the things we considered during that session were establishing the direction and the guiding principles for the park system, coming up with the groundwork for mission and vision statements for the plan and the department, setting some goals and objectives, and then determining next steps in the planning process. Pool operations, that contract is now active, and there will be a opening of Milam Park on the May, what day?
The last Friday in May.
Last Friday in May. Okay. Spring Youth Soccer League, ages 3 to 10. The program update is that the league was scheduled to begin on Saturday the 28th. At that time, we had over 50 participants registered. That's a little bit more than we had last year. And of course, Director Duncan is very excited about the program. Dr. Baker worked with him and the city attorney to look at the criteria for volunteers for the program. And so the program is going better than expected, which is always a good thing. I see where Director Duncan has put in his report the city's application to the Community Development Office for the county for Community Development Block Grant. On behalf of the city, myself, City Engineer Larry Kaiser, and Parks and Recreation Director Micah Duncan completed the request for funding for improvements at Milam Park in the amount of $700,000. So we are already expecting that we will be awarded those funds, and we'll be happy to report that once the announcement is made. Planning and economic development, staff is working to complete a historic resources survey. They're reviewing the existing conditions report for the comp plan, reviewing preliminary fiscal feasibility models for the annexation study. ICMA co-design for housing is expected to kick off in April. The Sages government building permits module is set to go live this week. Yay. Staff has submitted for a CDAP application to complete a housing assessment. The GSU student working on the Sutton House assessment is making their last visit to the site made their last visit to the site on April 1, and DDA had their kickoff meeting with Georgia Tech on the DDA strategic plan on March 9th. Zoning cases are 3688 West Smith Street, a CUP for a community center. Permitting, 26 permit reviews submitted between February 26th and March 31st. 14 permits issued from February 26th to March 31st, and 36 permits are pending review. Code compliance, 40 warning notices have been issued. 7 summons to court have been issued. Open records request completed is 3, and court cases was 87. Upcoming public engagement engagements for planning will be the Comp Plan Community Meeting on tomorrow, April 8th, from 5 to 7:30 p.m. Here with Clarkston Community Center. An engagement event at Refuge Coffee Spring Market on April 18th. The public does not want to miss that event because we'll have all of our plan consultants there in one place so that our public can engage with them and ask questions about the different plans. The city has a lot of plans going on. We have how many people coming? Different companies, 7? 5 confirmed out of 7. Awesome. Public safety, and this is reporting for February 25th through March 23rd. 0 homicides, 0 rapes, 1 robbery, 14 assaults, 1 burglary, theft, 21, and motor vehicle theft is 5. Does it include the incident from the weekend before last? Okay, awesome. 114 citations issued, 44 accident reports, 119 incident reports, and 26 arrests. Training and professional development. Officer Patterson attended 40 hours of in-person first responder training at Georgia Public Safety Training Center, and Officer Earl, who is our newest detective, attended 16 hours of in-person evidence and property room management at Georgia Public Safety Training Center. Assistant Chief Todd attended the DeKalb County Chief Association meeting hosted by the Dorville Police Department, and he also attended the DeKalb Municipal Association Policy Committee meeting. Clarkston PD will host the DeKalb County Chiefs Association meeting on May 13th, 2026. So in addition to hosting DeKalb County Chief Association, we've also hosted a plethora of organizations in our new space. It seems to be the go-to space for people around the county. And while they are here, we drop nuggets in their ears so that they remember that Clarkston is here and present, and Clarkston is a part. Yes, building relationships. Public Works, the Public Works Department, Milam Park Public Works staff has begun pressure washing the boardwalk at the entrance of Milam Park. In meeting with Director Seaton on yesterday, we identified some fixtures and benches and things like that need to be attended to. He is actually receiving quotes to replace some of the tables and benches down at Milam Park and in other areas around the city. He's also receiving quotes to replace and to place trash receptacles in new locations around the city, trying to deter some of the littering that we see within the city. Public Works responded to a report from maintenance staff at Birch Run Apartments located behind Brockett Pub Park regarding localized flooding, and he's also managed several different stormwater incidents throughout the month. Earth Day initiative will be held again on April 22nd. There's a registration link on the city's website and other social media platforms. If you would like a plant that goes inside the house that helps to clean the air within inside the house, you can register for one of those, and the city will provide those on Earth Day. Rivers Alive Creek cleanup event, and this is the last thing. Public Works staff supported the Rivers Alive Creek cleanup event held March 21st by assisting the event setup and promotion. They posted banners throughout the city to raise awareness, and they partnered with Keep DeKalb County Beautiful for who provided volunteers along with supplies for the event. And that is my report.
And thank you very much. And are there any questions? Yes, Vice Mayor.
City Manager, do you have a rollout date for the registration for Earth Day? Or is it already on?
It's already on the website.
Okay.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Okay. All right, any other questions? Thank you, City Manager. And we'll move to our City Attorney.
Good evening, Madam Mayor. I have no report tonight.
Okay.
Great. All right. I don't know if that's great or not, especially this legislation session. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't want to dive into it right
Yeah,
now.
that's fine.
We'll move to city council reports, starting with Vice Mayor Johnson.
I have nothing to report, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Councilwoman Bell.
Well, I won't add to the no reporters. I got a report. Sorry about that. So I'll keep it brief though. We had the city council retreat that I attended. The other thing that I want to lift up is I just spoke to some youth from Jack and Jill and actually did a simulation of what we do here on the dais as city council members. The theme was around lifting up voices, and the students were from Clarkston and Stone Mountain. The other thing I want to bring attention to the public is Together for Tomorrow. We'll be having an event soon in April in an apartment complex, so you'll see advertisement around that. This one is going to be centered around a youth listening session around how do we prevent violence and also what does peace look like. And the final thing is I had a great conversation with Nick from Perez and Mr. Duncan, who's not here, in regards to the survey for our parks master plan, and was delighted as a result of the conversation in regards to how much effort had been put into getting diversified perspectives to our parks. Up to 10 different languages, individuals that spoke 10 different languages actually responded to the survey. And then I just wanted to say that, of course, we know that the legislative session was over on April 3rd. However, there is a deadline that was not pushed back in regards to our voting system that is going to impact all of us. And so either that means special session or that means a court case. So just be aware of that because the systems could change because they were supposed to change because of the QR code on them. But they didn't push it back during the legislative session, so we're unsure what that means right now. Travel safe, because I'm sure all y'all have read or know that these individuals, extra enforcement was deployed to airports, but they're now using travel records and they're arresting folks. So just be mindful and practice precaution. And that's all I have to report.
Thank you. Councilman Perkins.
Thank you. I also will not be adding to the no report contingent this time, so apologies. So on March 8th, I attended the Rohingya Community's Iftar celebration. So thank you again to Ayub Muhammad and that group for inviting us. Our mayor, I won't steal your thunder, but was there as well, gave a lovely speech. Add it to your list. Okay. No, credit where credit is due. So it's just another great time of just, being together with community. Obviously we know our community is incredibly diverse, and in light of everything going on, I think being together in solidarity and breaking bread together is just an important way that we can stay connected and listening to one another. Also attended the city council retreat, so thank you again to our city manager and our staff. It is exciting to see how far we've come. A lot of the work that we have been doing and that y'all have been doing over the last several years is getting our foundation rebuilt in some areas and established in others, and modernized in others. And so that work, there's a lot of behind the scenes work that we don't always see, on a day-to-day basis, that when it's not done is when we see it, when things start falling apart. And so thanks again for just the amount of work that all of you do. It was very evident in just the reports on what we've accomplished in the last year. I'm excited to see what we're able to build on the foundation that we're putting together, just as the city continues to grow. So the last thing, I attended Emory's inaugural Clarkston Giving Weekend, which is a connection with the Guazetta Business School. And so they gave away about $17,000 in grants to nonprofits that were serving in the Clarkston area. And I had the opportunity to share a little bit about some of the things that I really find special about our community, one of which is the way people work together. And so it's just a really, I know sometimes, we have our disagreements, but we are a picture, I think, of what our nation could be at its best, as people from a lot of different walks of life coming together, working through our disagreements and carving out a life that we can all enjoy and be a part of, right? And so this was a fantastic expression of that. So congratulations to Amani Women's Center, Refuge Coffee, Step Ahead Scholars, and the Mosaic Health Center, who all received funding that will go towards providing support and needed programs to serve our community. And then lastly, I'm excited to kind of see what comes out of these conversations with leadership at a number of our schools, just making sure that they are, our students are connected. We have a number of schools that aren't in Clarkston city limits. We only have one, which is the Atlanta School for the Deaf. But our students, our kids go to schools, some of which are 25 minutes away. With our middle schools and elementary schools as well. And a lot of times that can create confusion in terms of, whether, who they need to call if there's a problem. You get leadership changes and communication can break down. And so I've been really excited about some of those conversations to make sure that our students are connected with the resources that they need and that faculty and staff at those institutions have connections with our city as well. And so there'll be hopefully more to report on that in the coming months. So, and that is it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilwoman Adi.
I do have a report. Okay, so on March 8th, I was invited by the Rohingya communities from Burma. So it was a month when Muslims fast, and that was when they break the fast. So it was an amazing event, and I have seen that community. It hasn't been in the United States for a long time, but from the achievements they made, the programs for the youth, for the children, it was just amazing to see them the way they were so organized. And it was great to meet all the different, like the men and the women and the children. It was amazing. I went with my son, and I had some young people came to him, said, "Where can we go to gym?" So my son goes to gym most of the time. He said, "We want to become like you." So he was like guiding them, and it was just great to be there with them. And then on the 14th of March, again, it was breaking the fast at the Refuge Cafe. Also, I attended, and I met a lot of different ethnic communities. It was amazing to see the way they work there together, and they came together. It was such a great event, and everybody was happy to be there. And it was for my first time to go to the Refuge Cafe for that. And then from 18th to the 20th, I went to training. My first training since joining the city council. I couldn't go last year, so I went this year. It was a lot of information. And before I could even digest that information, there was a retreat again, the 27th. So I met Michael McPherson at the training, and then when I met him again at the retreat, he said, "How do you feel?" I said, "Oh, I just came back from the training," and I going to the retreats. But anyway, it was great to see all the achievements of the different departments of our city. And thank you, everybody, for having organized that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Moore.
I have no report this evening.
Okay, Councilwoman Bayonne.
I have no report this evening. Thank you.
Okay. Well, it's a split. I'm going to break the tie. All right. The mayor's report. Here we go. First of all, I want to thank again the staff for the retreat. You did an amazing job of not only showing where we've been, but where we're going. And so we're looking forward not only to the information you provided, but us to have that follow-up to make sure that it aligns with what we have to do in the fall from a budgetary perspective. So thank you again for everything. I did attend the Rohingya Ramadan event. I also spoke and participated with the Kidspreneur Africa Conference that was at the Clarkston Community Center. And it was a wonderful way to see our young people who are entrepreneurs showcase their items and their willing and desire to be entrepreneurs. It was a great event. I did a swearing in for Lisa Tolliver at the Georgia Piedmont Technical College, and she is a member of Georgia Power as well as my RLI class for the Atlanta Regional Commission. I attended the DeKalb Day at the Capitol, where we were well represented in terms of the 12 plus Little of Atlanta cities as well as the county, because the bottom line is we are one DeKalb. Doesn't matter north, south, east, west. What affects Lithonia impacts Dunwoody. all of us have to remember that the policies that happen under the dome impact us, but also what we do as a county also impacts us. And so for that point, I also serve as the chair for the policy committee for the DeKalb Municipal Association. And we had the meetings with the chiefs from we actually had the chiefs, the marshals, the sheriff, we had Homeland Security, we had everyone. And that focus was, where are we with the World Cup? So we had those discussions to come together as a unit so that as DeKalb County, we know exactly what we're doing and supporting each other with the activities that the cities across the county plan to do during that time. So again, thanks to all of the chiefs for being there. And just as a reminder in terms of Councilman Perkins, make sure in terms of the school system, they are doing those surveys. Please make sure to give the input. They have several schools that they are considering closing, and they need your input on those decisions. I know one in particular that is of attention is Robert Shaw. That's one of the choice schools that many of our community, our international students participate, and they're looking at closing that one. So that's a hard one for many of our residents. So your voice needs to be heard in terms of the impact is going to happen for our residents in Clarkston, our youngest residents, because your voice is for them, because they can't speak. So we need to make sure that you speak for them. I attended SOTA, and that is the State of DeKalb Animals, right? So someone has to make sure that we are speaking for our four-legged family members, and that was hosted by Commissioner Michelle Long Spears, and so that was another event. And then Noble, which is our Black executives in terms of law enforcement. I attended the Clark Atlanta University chapter for protecting women. And so that was a very important piece that they got to see not only me, but other women in terms of GBI who support in terms of what the service that we do. And so that was a great opportunity. And then I attended Emory's global program where they recognize many of the physicians in terms of health, and they recognize Dr. O. He works for the Board of Health, and he is has a lot of work that he does in Clarkston, and particularly with TB and other issues that face our refugee population. So he was recognized there, and his mentor, who I love to death in terms of Ambassador Young, was also there to make sure in terms of that support. So we stay busy, and I don't want to take too much of someone's thunder. We also met with the ambassador from Haiti, and to talk about what the World Cup is going to look like for the Haitian community that we have. And so if you may or may not know, Haiti is going to play across Philadelphia, Boston, and Atlanta, right? And so as our first Haitian American, Lynn Bion was there with her ambassador from Haiti. And so we were able to talk about those wonderful things in terms of what is it that we, in terms of the residents, can do to promote the team and the culture of Haiti. And so that was a great opportunity. So with that, I will close. And guess what? We got public comments. I see you out there. I see you. You're ready, chomping at the bits. And if you didn't sign up, we're going to still let you talk, okay? I got you. So any member of the public may address the council during the time allotted for public comments. Each attendee will be allowed 3 minutes for comments at the discretion of the presiding officer. The public comment will be limited to 40 minutes and is not a time for dialogue. If your public comment contains a series of questions, please submit those to the city clerk in writing. This will facilitate follow-up by the council or staff. The city council desires to allow an opportunity for public comment. However, the business of the city must preside in an orderly, timely manner. Madam Clerk, who do we have signed up first?
Our first person is Taylor Brooks.
Hey, Taylor.
Nice to see you again. My name is Taylor Brooks. I live on Pecan Street over there. So I guess you want to start the timer, maybe. But I wanted to bring to the attention of the council some problems that we were having in our neighborhood with the special trash pickup process. I love our trash pickup people to death, like our facilities team in Clarkston, but I think that process needs to be looked at a little bit because it was really difficult to get a response in a timely manner, and in the end, both me and the other person who was looking for a trash pickup of a bulky item had to actually contact private companies to pull those items away for us at a substantially increased cost, usually, from what the city was asking for. So I just wanted to bring that up. The other thing is, I don't want to end on a complaint. I think there's a lot of great things happening in the city. So with my 2 minutes left, I'm going to highlight a couple things that are happening. The Earth Day thing, I love it. Last year I got a maple tree, and it's in my yard growing right now. So this year I'm excited to get my little house plant, whatever it's going to be. And I also wanted to say that Trees Atlanta also has a program with municipalities where you can get a free tree. Unfortunately, Clarkston doesn't seem to participate in that. So I'd love if we could maybe look at participating in the free tree program from Trees Atlanta. The other big thing is I'm on the project advisory group for the Clarkston Comprehensive Plan. So if other citizens like me feel like there's a lot of plans going around, we got the annexation plan, we got the Parks and Rec plan, we got this plan, that plan, every plan. The comprehensive plan is supposed to bring all those together. So please come out tomorrow night. I mean, I know I'm speaking to the council, but everybody behind me, please come out tomorrow night to the Clarkston Community Center to have your voice heard in the comprehensive plan development process. There's a lot of great things in there. The project team has been working hard to make sure we organize that process in a great way. And I want to thank the city manager and the other people in our staff of the city who are helping push that forward. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Who did we have next?
Next, we have Whitty Turner.
Hello, Mayor, Council, City Manager, City Clerk, City Lawyer. Hi, everybody. My name is Whitty Turner. I live at 3664 West Smith Street, which is immediately adjacent to 3688 West Smith Street, who is requesting a conditional use permit for a community center tonight. And I'm speaking on behalf of the residents of West Smith Street. I'll keep this brief because I appreciate the opportunity to get to speak at the work session last week. So I just want to reiterate a couple of the points we had. We are not opposed to development or community-oriented projects in general. Our concern is whether an event scale use is feasible at this location. This is a 204-seat assembly use on a single access, narrow, short residential street. And there's also a water channel on the property that may affect what can be built. Because both traffic and site constraints affect whether this use fits this location, we believe that they are important to consider and understand as part of this decision. So we just want to be sure the decision reflects the reality of the site and not just the current proposal. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Who did we have next?
Next, we have Robert Winfrey.
Okay. Bless you.
Madam Mayor, Council, City Managers, and others. We have a problem on Norman Road. My wife is ill, and she's getting close to 90 years old. We got somebody that comes through every night just about 9:30, 10 o'clock with one of those, you rev the engine up and it starts popping. And I'm having to get out of my bed to come in there with her. Is there something we can do about that? And we also have people obeying that light, that little flashing light. But you got some that's going to come around them, passing them on Norman Road, across the dam there.
Okay.
The other day I was down there fishing and we almost had one to wreck doing that. So something needs to be done down there. Thank you.
Thank you. Who do we have next?
Susan Hood.
All right, former Councilwoman Susan Hood.
Good evening. Susan Hood, Clydesdale Drive. I also would like to just reiterate a couple of points from the public hearing last week. I mentioned that I did not believe that the conditional use permit met the requirements by law, and the first requirement is, would the conditional use be injurious to the use and enjoyment of the environment or of the property in the immediate vicinity, or diminish and impair property values within the surrounding neighborhood? I think it's clear that having a event venue on a very small residential street that only provides one point of access to this property. So all cars going to and from this would have to go down that street. And the street is undersized. In addition, the potential for a great deal of noise because of an event where there's a large parking lot, and as we know, people arriving and leaving from events don't necessarily do so quietly. So there's the potential of a lot of noise, a lot of people coming and leaving at the same time, the potential from noise from outdoor events. All of this says to me that it is not a neutral thing, that it does not comply with this requirement, and that it would be detrimental to the neighbors who live there and to the property values. This would clearly burden the people in the neighborhood. And let me just add that I know some conditions have been proposed to be attached to this approval, but these conditions cannot make up for the fact that this use is not appropriate. This intense use is not appropriate for the site. And again, I refer you to the terms that must be met for a conditional use permit to be approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Who do we have next?
Michelle Maserjian. Am I saying that right?
Michelle Maserjian, Poplar Drive, Clarkston. I'm here to reiterate what I said at the previous City Council work session. I am opposed to the request for a conditional use permit for a community center to be located at 3688 West Hill Street, which is zoned residential commercial. Firstly, a community center is not an allowable use zone for this area, and I'm sure the city has some vision on how this area should be developed based on the various options available. Secondly, the allowable zoning use for the RC zoning district does allow various mixed-use residential uses from single-family to triplex dwellings. Granted, there are two large apartment complexes surrounding the street. The RC zoning also allows antique, jewelry, and floral shops, banks and financial institutions, book and video stores, eating and drinking establishments, including drive-through, drive-in establishments, to name a few. So I asked the City Council, just because the zoning allows these uses, does it fit into the plan for this neighborhood? As noted by staff, the subject property is located along a corridor characterized by a mix of commercial, vacant, and residential uses, vacant land and residential uses. In terms of scale and function, the proposed community center is comparable to the commercial uses located near the intersection of Smith Street, not on Smith Street, and East Ponce Leon Avenue. Those strips of properties bordering East Ponce Avenue and Montreal and West Hill Street are composed mostly of former single-family residential homes which have been converted to commercial establishments along with apartment complexes and the noted vacant properties. What is the City Council envisioning this corridor along East Ponce to be down the road, and how does West Hill fit into this picture? Are you envisioning along East Ponce mixed-use development projects which may include any combination of housing, office, retail, recreational, or commercial components? And do you foresee any of these allowed establishments to be part of the West Hill Street because they are in that RC zoned district? Is turning West Hill Street into mixed use part of this vision for this predominantly stable residential street? So I ask, how does a community center, or should I say an event center, tucked into a small residential neighborhood fit into the city's vision of mixed use development in this neighborhood? This request, I'll wrap up. This request is offering this request for the CUP is offering a confusing vision of what this area is planning to be. Thank you.
Thank you. Who did we have next?
Theodros, the last name, I can't read it. I'm sorry. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. And that was the last one that had signed up.
Okay. Anyone else? Anyone else? Anyone else? At this time, public comments are closed. So we have no old business, but we do have 7, which is the consent agenda. And so at this time, there's no deliberation on those items. We have 4 items that we move to the consent agenda, so I'll entertain a motion at this time.
I have a motion.
Okay.
I move that we approve the consent agenda. Item A, to consider the appointment of City Jakes to the Downtown Development Authority for a term that expires on December 31st, 2026. Item B, to consider a resolution to adopt the City of Clarkston Classification and Compensation Plan. Item C, to defer until April 28th, 2026 work session of Mayor and Council the discussion of an ordinance to create a criminal nuisance property program that would identify criminal nuisance properties based on crime statistics and then require them to make improvements / changes to their property or the way it is managed to reduce crime. And item D, to defer until until the April 28th, 2026 work session of Mayor and Council, the discussion of an ordinance to set up a program for special service districts to tax a designated area and then use that revenue to make improvements or provide extra services within the area that are intended to reduce crime.
Second.
Okay. It has been properly moved in second to include for our consent agenda items A through D, which were stated by Councilman Perkins. Because we've deliberated on those items, everybody should raise their hands unanimously for this, because that's the whole point of saying consent. We don't have to talk about it anymore. And so at this time, I will entertain, are there any further discussion? Because we don't have any. All in favor of A through D on the consent agenda, say aye.
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 Okay, all right, I want to make sure I got everybody. Okay, so motion passed. So we'll move to your page. It says B. It's going to be our A. And that is to consider a request for a conditional use permit, a CUP, for a community center in the RC zoning district to be located at 3688 West Hill Street, parcel ID 1811901017. I'll defer to City Manager Thornton.
Yes, ma'am, I will defer to Planning Director Richard Edwards. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, City Manager and Mayor and Council. On this, we have no new items that were submitted for this. However, I did have a discussion with the applicant today. They did request a withdrawal without prejudice. However, our code does not allow for that. But they have also agreed that a denial without prejudice would be okay as well with the applicant, if you also see to vote that way.
Okay, thank you.
May I ask a question on that?
Sure, I know.
So just to make sure, because I don't have our city code in front of us, denial without prejudice, if we deny it, They can't come back for, I believe, another 6 months with any plans for the property or just that specific plan?
It would be any zoning application.
Any
So a
zoning application?
rezoning, a conditional use permit, or a variance.
Okay, and then denial without prejudice, will it allow them to come back if they come up with a different idea? I just want to make sure I was clear on that.
Okay. So at this time, I will entertain a motion on this item. Councilman
motion.
Perkins? Yes.
I move that we deny the request for conditional use permit for community center in the RC zoning district to be located at 3688 West Hill Street, parcel ID 1190117 without prejudice.
A second.
All right. It has been properly moved and seconded that we deny request for a conditional use permit, a CUP, for a community center in the RC zoning district to be located at 3688 West Hill Street, parcel ID 181190117 without prejudice. Is there any further discussion? Yes, Councilman Moore.
Yeah, I think that that's, everybody else agrees, I think that that's inappropriate to have a assembly place on that street. And I'm not sure how it became commercial, but if it was commercial, I would picture different businesses there that would have people that would come and go at various times. And maybe there'd be a steady stream of people coming and go, but it wouldn't be the same as having 200 people leaving an assembly at the same time. I don't know how it got zoned as commercial, but we'll look at that when somebody else tries to, or when they come up with a new plan, see what they come up with.
Okay. Is there any other discussion?
I have a question, Madam Mayor.
Yes.
My
Vice
question
Mayor.
is for the planning director. Did they say why they didn't want us to, I mean, is there a reason why they wanted us not to be prejudiced with this? Because I know that, because apparently they need to rethink it anyway, but 6 months is not a bad, they had no.
Yeah, I think their hope was, I can't speak for them, but my understanding is they hope to meet with the community and meet with some more elected officials and staff to get a better understanding of what the vision is there.
Okay.
And to hopefully do that in less than 6 months.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
That's it.
Okay. All right. With that, is there any further discussion, questions? Okay. I do, Mr. Edwards. Mr. Edwards. So with that piece of property, I guess there's been a concern if can you make sure we understand also what those allowable uses are for them to be able, if they're not doing this center, because it is kind of a spot zoned area when you look at the other parcels there.
Yes, so most of it's just light commercial. You can do restaurants, you can do any type of office space, you can do multifamily and several different mixed uses. You can't have convenience stores, you can't have drive-throughs, but you can have full-service restaurants. And based on comments from Councilman Moore, we did research. The 2000 zoning map that we found in the city clerk's files showed it as residential, but the 2016 adopted map showed it as RC. So sometime between 2000 and 2016 is when the zoning changed.
Okay, thank you. Okay, with that, I want to make sure in terms of any further discussion, you ready for the question? I want to make sure in terms of saying that it's Smith Street, not Hill Street.
What did I say?
Because I know some people.
Oh, it says West Hill Street on the agenda. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Do I need to formally amend my motion to say
Please.
Smith Street? I got the parcel ID.
You got, okay, let's do that. You
Would
want to
it-
go ahead and amend it?
Sure. So I would like to, I move that to amend my previous motion. You said Smith Street?
Yes. Smith.
Is it West Smith
West
Street?
Smith.
West Smith Street, okay. All right. So I'd like to amend my previous motion to deny without prejudice a request for conditional use permit for a community center in the RC zoning district to be located at 3688 West Smith Street, parcel ID 181190117.
Without.
I need a second for my,
Without prejudice.
without prejudice, yes.
Second.
Okay. All right, so we've amended the motion to deny a request for, and actually it's to change it from from Hill to Smith Street. That's what we're doing, but we'll do the whole thing.
Yes,
Okay.
now we vote on the amendment
Okay.
and then we vote on the new
Well, then,
motion, right?
yeah, okay. So we'll change that from Hill Street to Smith Street, West Smith. Okay. Is there any further discussion? You ready for the question? All in favor to change from West Hill Street to West Smith Street, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. We'll move to now do the main motion, which is to deny a request for a conditional use permit, a cup for a community center in the RC zoning district to be located at 3688 West Smith Street, parcel ID 1811901017 without prejudice. Are you ready for the question? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Motion passed. So now we will move to item C, which would be on your paper, which would be RB, to consider options for the Safe Streets for All Safety Action Planning Project. Madam City Manager.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. I will defer to City Engineer Larry Kaiser.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. Point of privilege, if you don't mind. My wife is from Iran. We've been married for 48 years. We have lots of relatives and friends in Iran. And so all I ask is that you pray for those in Iran facing that very repressive government, no matter how you feel about the war. And so I just wanted to make mention of that. It's a bad situation for everybody. This evening, I'm going to talk about cross-sections for the Safe Streets for All project. Last week, I came to council and indicated a desire for council to select two options. My mistake. I confused it with the trail project, which you did select two. We need to select one. And the purpose and the reason for selecting one is we have our April 18th event that we're going to present one option to the members of the community. But also there's another reason why. And I'm going to explain the second part of it in a minute, actually right now. So, the day of the work session, or the following day, I forget which, there was a notice of funding opportunity that was finally advertised under the bipartisan infrastructure law, the last year of that program for funding. And so, and the other shocker to us, not the fact that there was money available, which is also a surprise. We thought it was going to disappear. The second shocker was that in previous years, when we applied for the action plan, we had until the end of June, end of July period of time. They accelerated to May 26, which is a real challenge for us. Consulting, I have Matt Disco with Kimberly Horn here, the road designer, as well, in the event that we have questions about the cross-section details. So that's a challenge. So not only am I asking for council to make a decision about which option, but also we have a decision to make, not necessarily tonight, but something I'd like to receive council blessing on. I think the city manager would as well. So the implementation of this project. So the last year of funding has money available for planning, which we already have from 2 years ago, which we're working on now, and implementation of the plan, the elements of the plan. So there's two possibilities for implementation funding under the action plan that we are close to wrapping up in September, but we'll have a draft report in May. One is to pursue federal funding for countermeasures. Remember, we talked about the 40 countermeasures in the city, things such as signal installation, let's say at Church and Market Street, as an example, and other kind of countermeasures citywide, and not necessarily on the corridor, but citywide. There's like 40 of them. So that's one approach. Go after 3 or 4 or 5 projects. A federal request for funding may be $500,000 to $1 million, in that range. The second alternative is a little bit more radical, but it is very much available for funding. And here's what it is. Engineering funding is also considered to be implementation funding. So you don't have to just construct something You can also ask for engineering funding, full-fledged engineering set of plans for something in your plan. Well, we have something in our plan. It's this corridor, right? So the option that you select will allow me to prepare a grant application based upon the engineering costs for that section that we're going to look at along the corridor from Memorial Drive to City of Tucker, that 3.5-mile length. So let's say you go after a $50 million project, which is alternative number 3, as example. So 20% of that is engineering fees, permitting, environmental, full-fledged set of plans along the entire corridor. It's a major undertaking. It's a $10 million project for design. As example, 20% of whatever selection you make here. Based upon where the project is located, about half and half. It's maybe 40% in the cab, maybe 60% in the city in terms of the length of the project, but it's pretty comparable for the most part. We have a lot of contemplation that we have to do if we pursue funding. Pros and cons. Here's the pro. If we apply for funding and we can find, let's say, $5 million on alternative 3, and less than that if we go for another alternative. That's $5 million city, $5 million county. We need to actually agree to that in the application. Get support letters from the county. We would take the lead, and we would make that happen. The positive on this is instead of being a 10 to a 12-year project, it becomes construction in 5 years. Because we would pursue construction funding through Land and Regional Commission, through the TIP process, 3 years from now, 4 years from now, whenever the design is done. So it moves us ahead by a lot, by many, many, many years, if we get the funding for engineering. The challenging part is finding that $5 million. Knowing what we talked about at the retreat, basically all the funding is what we propose is already on the table for your consideration for reallocation, right? Mel Avenue and a whole slew of things we talked about, money around the dam work, et cetera. So that's one challenge. The $5 million that you have to obligate yourself to when you apply for the grant in May 26. First challenge. Second challenge is going to the CEO's office, sitting down with her, Commissioner Terry, Commissioner Johnson, and saying, here's the project. We're going to be accelerated by 5, 6, 7 years. Here's an opportunity, but you have to get the pony up for your share and provide that in writing to the city because we'll take the lead on the grant application. Are you willing to do that? That's the challenge. There's lots of benefits, but there's a lot of challenges, all to be done before May 26th. Actually, a day or two before May 26th, because we all know the challenge of uploading documents to the Federal Highway Administration software program, as the city manager knows. So decision, no, not tonight, but decision will have to be made by the work session discussion in April and then the first week of May, because it's going to take us some time. It's going to take me some time, a little bit of time from Kimberly Horn, mostly staff time, to complete this application. Because this application is not like the planning application we submitted 3 years ago. Not simple, but it wasn't a 3, 4, 5 day process to get the application stuff together, all the documents, the technical data, the letters of support, a whole slew of things. It's not an easy application. Plus, they moved it up 2 months. So that's the conversation. And it's, it's, like I say, you can see both sides of it. But in the event the city doesn't want to pursue engineering funding for the entire project, where the government pays for 80% of the project, the engineering, and the rest of it is local. So it's not really 10 million. It's less than that on a $50 million project, but you have to find a couple $1 million regardless. Okay, regardless. And so it's, and we'll come up with the exact number if council wants to move forward with this. And we'll provide a better detail on what the local responsibilities are for its share of the project, the engineering project. So that's what it does. It accelerates the project dramatically. But on the other hand, you still have great smaller projects to pursue construction-wise on the countermeasures, like we talked about, $500,000 to $1 million worth of 3 or 4 projects in the city that the chances of us receiving most probably are quite high. The chances of us receiving, several $1 million of funding for engineering plans might be a little bit more difficult, but there's not a lot of applications from what I can see from previous years of other cities and counties nationwide pursuing funding for engineering. It's usually planning or construction. It's not engineering. So there may not be that many applications. It's just my guess based on what I've seen in the past. So that's where we are. And so tonight we need to begin with selecting a cross-section. There are, and Matthew's here to provide even more great detail if you have a question about that. There are advantages to all of the sections. From my opinion, I think Matthew would agree, no matter which section you select, it's still a great selection to submit. All right, there's a little bit of difference in terms of crash reduction and other benefits, but you can really pick any of them and still do very well in the application. I will say this, and I just be upfront with this. Whatever selection you make and whatever you present at April 18th event, just know that it's going to change. If you get funding for engineering, just know it's going to change slightly in 3 years. So whatever you select tonight is not the final look. It's going to change slightly because you're going to begin engineering, you're going to begin surveying, you're going to do all environmental permitting. So you're going to have tweaks to whatever section you select. And I just want everybody to be aware of that. But we have to begin somewhere, and somewhere is the application. And the application requires a selection of one of the three. Steering committee selected, I think, option A. That was their recommendation, if I remember correctly. And the reason why I'm even here, other than the fact that I need to talk about the next step in terms of funding. But the other part of it is that there was some questions about votes on which one, was it one or was it two? And so we just need to have some clarity on that as well. So that's where I'm at.
Okay, so actually got two things because you need which one we're going to do in terms of 1, 2, and 3. And then also pursuant to, are we going to go from engineering?
So you don't have to make that decision tonight. It'd be nice if you would.
The option.
Because it's not on the agenda. So it's going to be in the April work session agenda and a May decision, first week of May decision about that. It gives us, 2.5 weeks to do the application, which is fine. But so if there's a discussion tonight about which way we might go, then it'll allow me and Matthew and Kimberly Horn a little more time to work out the details for this application. But if there is no head shake, that's the direction we think we're going to take, then we'll just have to wait till the first week of May and live with it and make it happen.
Okay, how did I not know you're going to do this? Because we were trying to schedule this meeting with Madam CEO about all of this already.
That's it.
So for discussion purposes, we have to pick the option. So I'll entertain a motion at this time.
I have a motion.
Yes, Councilman Perkins.
I move that we approve alternative 1, West Side Share Use Path.
Second.
I thought the committee already did one, correct?
You're asking us to choose.
You choose one.
Right.
Yep.
You only just want us to do one.
One.
Okay, all right. We want to make sure, because we had a whole bunch of 1, 2, 3 last week. All right, so we want to make sure in terms of option 1. And is it possible from a screen perspective to show what that is? Because I don't like making motion. I want the public to see that. I'm not doing it. So they'll see it at the 18th. Okay, but just show it up. I just want to make sure. You didn't? Okay.
We could pass one of our copies.
All right. The rendering's too small. Okay. Let me see yours. Let me just show you, just so I can feel better. Okay, here we go. This is what you're going to see on the 18th. See how small it is?
Should have brought your opera binoculars.
So we're going to do the 1.
Yeah.
Okay? All right.
It's on our website.
It's on the website. I just didn't want to, full disclosure, just at
Could
least
you-
show it to you. Lay eyes on it, like my grandmother used to say. Okay.
And I did have a question about
Yes.
option 1.
Yes, go ahead. So you made the motion. I need a second. Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded to approve option 1. Councilman Perkins.
Thank you. So I just wanted to make sure I'm looking at the designs. So for the public, we have 3 different options. Options 1 and 3 are similar. The difference is that both, one of them has sidewalks with sort of integrated bike traffic on either side of the 2 streets that are about the same size. That's alternative 3. Alternative 1 side has a wider bike lane. And then on one side of the street, there's a little bit smaller sidewalk. Both of those options have single lanes of traffic that are protected by a curb and a little bit of a strip of green area. There we go, right there.
So one does not have a bike
Slightly.
lane. One does not have a bike lane. It's
Yeah.
a shared use path.
Or shared use trails.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry. And then option 2 has a bike lane. So my question for you, Mr. Kaiser, is an alternative 1, looking at this schematic, the dimensions that I've got on the sheet in front of me. It looks like if at some point in the future we wanted to expand the shared use trail or the sidewalk to a shared use trail on the right side of the road, that we would have the ability to do that. If
You have the ability, but there's two things that will be challenging. Number 1 is additional right-of-way acquisition. Because 1 and 2 basically can be squeezed within most of the right-of-way except for some construction easements. 3 is the most dramatic one if you want to put a sidewalk in, wider sidewalk, because then you're encroaching outside of a right-of-way by quite a bit. And so that's the one. So right-of-way costs in the future and construction costs in the future for 3.
Now, hang on. What I'm looking at up here is different than what I have in front of me. That has a turn lane on it, and that has the street. What I have in front of me from last meeting had a green median in the middle.
No, the median. So yeah, they're both. Yeah, it is green. You just can't see it. It's a median. It's the same thing. You just don't see the green. See that darkened strip fold up. See between the cars.
No, that is a.
It's a cycle track.
There's a green strip between the vehicle and the other lane on the paper that I have from last meeting.
It is.
That one is a turn lane.
Oh, it's
Come on up. I see it. Yeah, it's there.
Did you change the turn lane from the green patch?
Matt Disco with Kinley Hornet. Sorry, we've updated this graphic. The center is intended to be a median. It will be a landscape median where there is not a turn lane required, and where there's a turn lane, that landscape median would disappear and become the turn.
Or become more narrow.
Or because
Okay, gotcha.
So in effect, the corridor, you will see both a landscape median and the two-way left turn
Okay,
lane.
yeah, I understand there's a number of variations and situations you have to do it. So I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, and only that also includes what you don't see here also, which we will have on our grant application if we pursue funding for engineering, is things that we talked about last time, the bus pull-offs and those kind of things will be part of that detail that will provide the grant application.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure what we were voting on was what I had in front of me. So trying to do a little switcheroo. Yeah. So my rationale for suggesting alternative 1, again, as a biker, things like that, I have concerns with having I know we talked a little bit about having a pseudo-protected lane, but I think the more clearly delineated you can have the shared use path, it makes it better from a safety standpoint. I still have concern. The reason for my question on whether or not we could replicate that sidewalk on the other side, I think one of the fundamental issues we have with pedestrian safety is people crossing over to find the sidewalk. I know actually, I believe on Market Street, we have a great sidewalk on one side, not a sidewalk on the other.
But you know why we did that?
Yeah, and so did you say we did it?
No, why we did that on one side of the road only on Market Street. Because we wanted to save all those mature trees and not impact people's front yards.
Yeah. When I'm looking at it strictly, I know there's other considerations, right? The environment. I'm looking at strictly from a pedestrian safety standpoint. It's much better than it was. You had people trying to navigate those turns with strollers. So I think that's just wanted to share. That's my rationale for alternative 1. Is I think it keeps the door open for expansion at some point in the future. Funding comes available, and it provides that additional protection for pedestrians. So.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Moore.
I think it might be helpful for the public to read the advantages and considerations for all 3 of these. If somebody would like to volunteer to read those.
Well, we discussed all of that during the work session. I just wanted to make sure, as I said, that I laid eyes on what you said. And so people could see what it was. And so the fact that as part of it, you're going to have the mix of the turn in the middle and then the wonderful shrubbery that was also going to have the maintenance plan on what we're going to do once it's in there. Okay. So, and then they have the opportunity on the 18th to hear all of that again. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. All right. And yes, Vice.
Oh, no.
Okay. Yeah. My only concern is, again, that one side. You know how we already have sidewalks on both sides.
Yeah.
It's going to be a change.
So
that's my concern.
So just multiply. So the difference between 1 and 3. If you want 3, you have a wider sidewalk, essentially, right? You have it's not a 13-foot wide trail, but it's whatever. What is it? 6 foot or 8 foot on the one side? 8 foot. So you're talking about taking that $47 million project, today's dollars, right? We're not talking about 6 years from now. Just take those dollars only and multiply that times 20%. Because you're moving poles, buying right of way, moving utilities, pretty significant in terms of dollar amount. But as council said, money's not objective. We can ask for $100 million.
Don't you put that on us.
No, so don't put it on us, but I am just stating for the record because
I'm teasing, yes.
And that's my only concern is, as an example, at Indian Creek and Church and Ponce.
I know.
Where we say, oh, go this way, and they're going to walk right in the street and on the curb. So I'm bringing that point up. Okay.
So remember, it can change. Mayor, again, as we talked about.
Okay.
If engineering is the approach, we'll ask for a little bit more percentage of construction for engineering cost in the application, just in the event that things change 3 years from now in terms of the design. Be sure we have enough funding for design received to do the work. So if the section changes in 3 or 4 years, you know what? We'll present it to the public and we'll see what council says at that time.
Okay. All right. So you ready for the question? All in favor of option 1 for the SS4A safety action plan, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? Motion passed. I'll take the next motion to adjourn.
Oh, sorry, point of order.
Yes.
Did we need to come up with some head nod for that, or at least discuss the second item for
Yeah.
funding?
Did you?
Just want to make sure.
So
It's not on the agenda, but the head nod.
Pursue engineering in the application instead of construction funding for the countermeasures.
Personally, I would say I am open to it, but I have a lot of questions.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just a discussion
Yeah,
at
this
this
is
point.
It'll help us go in the right, it will help
Okay.
us
So
get the
discussion.
data we need.
Yeah.
Okay, so send us a follow-up email to that one, since it's not an agenda item, but we got the head nod and look like to do the engineering part. But we don't have, but
You have
this is
nothing to
the
look at.
issue. We don't have anything, so we can't.
No, you have nothing.
Right.
But it allows us to begin collecting information that I need in the event that
happens.
Plus, it allows us to go to the CEO's office
Okay.
also.
All right, so we'll do the follow-up and Councilwoman Bill.
So the only point of clarification or question that I have around this is the timeline. So Larry, you mentioned that there was this second application takes a little bit more time, and so I don't know how to help with this process because it's not on the agenda. But I know that there are ways, Stephen.
But you can.
You can. If it's just the city manager has the autonomy to do it.
Stephen, you want to say something?
Okay, so the question is, how can the council indicate a informal approval for something that our city engineer is going to undertake?
That's not on our agenda.
It's not on our agenda, and
Right.
so I'm not necessarily suspending anything, but to add it at this point, what you're asking is a lot, and the other piece to it. Go ahead, city manager.
send something out? Can we send something out to council, to get council consensus, and then my office directs the engineer?
I think so. I mean, I'm not entirely clear on what we're trying to approve. Is it going to cost money?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
It's a grant application.
Just to submit the application.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that for sure the council could informally authorize the city manager to make that decision.
But remember, once you submit the grant application, it's in the mill with 1,000 other applications. And if council chooses not to do the engineering, then it's too late to go after the other funding category, meaning construction monies for various small projects. So once you pull the trigger on one, then it eliminates the possibility of going after the other side of the funding, which is the construction side for small projects.
What's the deadline to decide?
May 26th is the deadline of application submittal.
So I'm going to let the city manager make a comment before you make a comment, because, go ahead and make your comment.
My other concern is the city's match.
Mm-hmm.
Even if we get the county to approve, one of the things we've talked about over the last couple of meetings is putting together a prospectus that tells us where we are financially, right? And there, we can. It is wonderful that we have. Larry, please don't take this. This is to all of the staff, to mayor and council too. It is wonderful that we have all these grant opportunities and all these projects going on at the same time. But the downside to that is that when it comes time to spend money, do we have that funding? The countermeasures are much needed too. And they are, I think, more attainable as far as dollars go. We're making a lot of financial decisions based on the perspectives that we will receive grant funding, and in a time where we are still working to determine what funds the city actually has.
May I add one more thing to that? Funding side of it.
Yeah.
Application submitted in May. We won't hear until most probably November, December timeframe. Knowing how the action plan agreement process occurred, we won't know until, we won't get an application to begin the process of hiring an engineering firm until late next year. We won't begin initiate any kind of design work until 28.
Okay.
Just won't happen.
So
that's if we don't pursue this.
No, the engineering. I'll call it the engineering.
That is if we
Countermeasures or the engineering, doesn't matter. Construction for the small projects or the engineering, doesn't matter.
So for tonight's purpose, since it's A, not on the agenda, B, we don't see what the countermeasures that you have in place to even make a decision on that. We will defer all of that information to be presented to us in a wonderful document so that we can see option A and option B of how to move forward with the grant. So then we can move with a consensus and allow the city manager to go from there.
Okay.
If I may,
Yes.
make a suggestion. My suggestion, because I think, again, it's possibly a great opportunity. There's a lot of implications from from what you're sharing, pros and cons. I don't even know what the pros and cons are. I can't even begin to think through, positive or negatives or what we're leaving on the table. And so I'm kind of getting information drip fed to me on it, which I know grants come up, it's just part of the game. My preference would be that I think before that even comes to us, that we have that go through our city manager who has the perspective of finance, our other obligations for the rest of the city before it comes to us. And then you can kind of, triage through, help us make a more informed decision on it before it just hits our desk. But I defer to my colleagues on that.
Yes, go ahead.
Well, that was my statement. Can we, as a body, just defer to give consensus or whatever we decide to do to the city manager, and then you direct this process, because it is admin, because you're talking about grant and application processes. And then from there, if it needs to come back to us for approval, if there's a fiscal note associated with it, then we can move forward.
The only thing I would say is that it sounds like there's going to be a big opportunity cost, but one way or the other, right? So, I mean, legally, I think because it's not committing funds, that would be allowed. But I would encourage the council, based on what I'm hearing here, to consider having a special called meeting. Because next regular meeting would be too late to know?
No. So the reason this is even coming up now is because
Mm-hmm.
that notification came out last week and about the acceleration of the date from July to May, which shocked all of us. And so we can make this happen at the April work session with the city manager's help and discussing it with you, and then make a decision the first week of May. So that gives us 2.5 weeks, but we'll just stop sleeping and make it happen.
So for the sake of the clerk who is just sitting there trying to figure out where to go from point A to point B, the information provided today, you will work with the city manager. Based on what she surmises from that, then she'll follow up with us to let us know if it warrants us even having a special call meeting, and then we can go from there.
Yes,
Does that work for the council?
Do you want that a formal direction or?
Okay.
That works for me.
Does that work for everybody? All right, so we're done. I'll take that motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, meeting adjourned. Thank you all.